Hi, everyone, and welcome back to At Mom's Table, where sound quality might be questionable, especially this week. We've got another mic coming, but the company's always top tier. I'm your host, Casey Torgerson, and today's episode is a big one. It's our very first guest episode, and in honor of Father's Day, I brought on the man who's been dadding since the invention of the bag phone. Yeah, that's right. It's my dad. He's got 4 kids, 8 grandkids, and at least 100 opinions on how holiday bonuses have gone downhill since the 90s, which they have, by the way. We talk about all the good stuff, what it's like raising us, how he managed work-life balance or tried to, why grandkids are the real reward, and somehow we talked a lot about pagers, like way too much about pagers. Also, full transparency, my dad does not know how to listen to a podcast, so if you're like him, first of all, you're doing great. Here's how it works. You can listen to Spotify, Apple Music, or pretty much anywhere you find your music. You're going to search At Mom's Table, click on the episode, and hit play. If it disappears, don't panic. It's not gone, probably just you closed out of the app or something, and call your grandkids. This is for you too, Dad. So grab a seat, a snack, and someone who knows how Bluetooth works, and let's get into it. Here's episode 2, Bring Back the Holiday Bonus, featuring my dad. Yeah, this is the Father's Day episode. This is my dad, Dave, and I'm just going to go through a little bit of your history. If you have anything to fix, let me know. I probably love some stuff out. All right, so this is Dave. He was born and raised in upstate New York. He went to Clarkson University. From Clarkson University, after a few years, he went into the Navy.
Yep.
When he went into the Navy, he was in the Navy for a few years, met my mom. Hit it off. Love at first sight. Your sister, my Aunt Shelley, set them up, actually.
Yeah.
From there, you guys got married. You have 4 kids. There's 4 of us, right?
Yep.
No, I'm just kidding. 9 grandkids now.
Yep.
And you are an MRI technician. MRI engineer, rather.
Yes.
An MRI engineer.
MRI engineer, yeah.
78 years. How many years have you been an MRI engineer?
I'm only 70 years old.
Oh, okay. So 70 years of being an MRI engineer.
42 years.
42 years of being an MRI engineer. He did a little fake retirement. He's back at it because he just loves working so much.
Yeah.
Actually, we were probably annoying you with our phone calls, so he was begging to go back to work. But yeah, that's the background, right?
Yeah.
Did I miss anything in there?
Kind of like my life, yeah.
All right.
I graduated from VVS.
Graduated from VVS. You have 3 siblings, 2 brothers and a sister, yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, I feel like I nailed that. So we're going to get right into it. So this is the Father's Day episode, so some of these, and obviously, are my father. So we're going to have some questions or conversation starters around being a dad, but I'm hoping that you can share some stories from your childhood that you found memorable as well.
Sure.
And some stories from your dad.
Yeah.
So first, to start off strong, which of your 4 kids? So for listeners that don't know me, I have 2 older sisters and an older brother. I'm the youngest. So which of the 4 of us is the most dramatic, do you think?
Dramatic?
The most dramatic, yeah.
I would say probably Ashley's the most dramatic.
Okay. I would agree.
She's more of, we always used to talk about that when she came home from something. We'd talk about, did you have a fun time? And she said, I'd have a great time. And what did you do? And the more she talked. By the end of the conversation, she had a terrible time. So, because everything would affect her.
You know what? On second thought, I hated it.
Everything would affect her in the way that she would read more drama into it than what was really there.
We also have a running joke within the family that it's not a like family holiday unless Ashley's crying. I'm excited for you guys to meet Ashley. She's the absolute best. But I would probably agree that she's the most dramatic for sure. If you had to come up with a title if you wrote a parenting memoir or someone wrote a parenting book about you and about your parenting style, what do you think the name of the parenting memoir would be?
Well, that's a kind of a tough question. I don't know. I guess my parenting style is more of keep the important stuff important and the little stuff little stuff. Some people some people talk about that, pick your battles. I don't think that's the case. I think that that's part of it, that the battles that are important and ones that aren't important. But you know kids make mistakes and you make mistakes, and don't beat yourself up over the mistakes you made, and don't beat your kids up for the mistakes that they made, unless they're mean spirited or whatever. But
right, big mistakes, character flaws.
Yeah, that you need to work on, and just spend as much time with them as you can, and support them in everything that they really want to do. And as all the kids have gone in a whole bunch of different directions and done different things, and every direction that they went in, we tried to support them in that direction. And when they changed direction, we didn't say, we spent all this time doing this, what are we doing something different for? But you all found your way, and still are kind of finding your way. But
for sure, I think we'll be finding our way forever. For sure.
So just keep the important things important, and non-important things non-important.
I like it. That actually is an awesome segue into another question that I had. So you traveled a lot for work throughout our whole childhood, and you still do. But as far as I can remember, you have never missed a big event or even small events. Softball games. I played 3 sports in high school. You were at every single one of my games. I was in chorus. I did musical theater. You were there for everything. My brother played travel hockey, and you were there for all of his games. 2 questions. One, how did you balance that, being so busy and still making all of our things? And 2, is there anything that you had to miss because of work, or like cut the line close you almost missed?
Yeah, there was a lot of things, and I was just talking to your brother Matthew about it the other day, because he's got another job, and he says, "Am I doing the right thing?" And I said, you kids always talk about that I never missed anything, but I never missed anything that was important, and I never missed anything that you really, really wanted me there. And
for sure.
And most of all, I think that it was that Susie always supported me, my wife. If I said, I got to go here, but I think I could probably get out of it, or whatever, she would say, "Really, it's no big deal." And especially when you were younger, and I went to my first 2 MRI schools. One was 24 weeks and one was 22 weeks. And I did those in the first 2 or 3 years. And
the first 2 or 3 years, like when Abby was...
When I was working, and Abby was young, and Ashley was really young. And as you were growing up, I was traveling around here. So when you were little, I missed a lot of things, but you don't ever remember them.
Right.
So when you got older and they were more important to you, as far as developing our relationships, I tried not to miss a whole lot of things. And like you said, I think I made all your softball games. I very rarely missed any of Maddie's hockey games. But all the kids, the most important things that they had in their life. Ashley didn't play a whole lot of sports, but the sports that she did play, I made sure I tried to get there.
And she
And
went to dances and had a
yeah,
few different things.
yeah, and but I balanced it by making sure that I went into work at 5 o'clock in the morning
Right.
and did things. I would call a site if I had a preventative maintenance for 4 hours in the night. I'd say, "Can I? You open at 9 o'clock for patients. Can I come in at 5 and do it then?" And I always tried to put my work in, and if I had to take some time off, I'd just take time off. We didn't take a lot of vacations. We just took big vacations,
For
and
sure.
we'd take a day here and there, take a long weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and do those kinds of things to spend time with each other. And I think that the most important thing was that we'd spend weekends together and
For sure.
as a family, and that's what really helped with the balance.
For most of like when I was in high school and Matt would have been like early college. He played hockey in college for a couple of years. During that time you worked local,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
When I was in like elementary, middle school, were you working local or were you traveling? So that would have been like 2004
Yeah.
through 2008.
Yeah, I was working around here, but I traveled a lot for school, and I also, as I got more experienced, I did a lot of tech assistant.
Gotcha.
I'd have to go out and help people with problems and fly somewhere, but I worked a lot of overtime here, but um, like I said, if I could get away with it, if it wasn't a problem that had to be fixed, then I just worked on it um, according to what I needed to do as a
Gotcha.
father to
Awesome.
be here.
Is there anything that you remember missing or being very close to
Well,
missing?
uh, one thing that I did miss that I remember, I really do remember, is that um, Abby was in a spelling bee, and
That's my oldest sister.
and
Nerd.
I went to it, and I went to it, and I got a urgent call on my pager. It wasn't on we didn't have cell phones
Not
then.
the pager.
the the infamous pager. Abby, one time when we were going on vacation, a little side note, when we were going to Outer Banks on vacation, I got a call that morning, and I started my vacation in the afternoon because we'd always drive at night. So I went into work, and they had a problem, and I went into work. I had packed the night before, and Abby was probably, I don't know, 10 years old, maybe, even a little bit older, maybe. And the tech there, the head tech, Mary Ann, told me, um, "Thank you for coming in, and now turn off your pager." So I turned off my pager, and Abby turned to me and said, "That's the first time in my life I've ever seen you turn off your pager." Anyway, I was at the spelling bee, and my pager went off, and I said, I'll run right in. And they called Abby up for her next round, and she misspelled the word, so I missed it. And I walked back in, and
That's the only time that you had the chance to see Abby be wrong in her whole life, and you missed it. Well, only remembering missing one thing, I think that's really impressive.
and I'm sure that I missed other things, but it wasn't.
I don't
It
remember
wasn't
one
as.
single
It
thing.
wasn't as
Did Matt?
traumatic.
I
guess.
do remember. Did Matt have a shutout one point that maybe Mom missed?
Mom missed.
Mom missed it. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought one of you were there. I guess we'll get into your.
I missed a. Now that I think
go
about
for
it, I missed a hockey game in Elmira with Maddie, and um, he lost the game. This was a college game, and he lost like, I don't know, 13-1 or something, and he.
Matt's side note. Matt's college hockey team is the only team I've ever seen to have an undefeated season the wrong way.
Yeah, yeah.
They went like 0-72 or something like that.
Yeah. And it really wasn't Maddie.
It wasn't. He's
he
a
was
great
a
goal.
great boy.
Alrighty, quick shout out here. If your phone case is currently cracked, boring, or giving off "I got this at the mall" kiosk in 2017, first of all, what happened to those? I've got someone for you. It's Junk Babe Cases on Instagram. She's based in upstate New York but ships everywhere, and she makes custom phone cases that are honestly kind of psychic. Here's how it works. You just tell her you tell her your phone type, say if you want color or clear, what color, etc., and send her a little bit about yourself, favorite emojis, a color scheme, your vibe, or even your Tinder bio. Somehow, with just that, she creates the perfect case. Also, these make incredible gifts. If you've got a birthday coming up or need something that feels super thoughtful without doing any actual work, this is it. So go DM her at junkbabecases and tell her that At Mom's Table sent you, and she'll take you from there. So I was not lucky enough to meet either. I was not lucky enough to meet your dad. My grandpa. I met my Grammy, your mom, but she had passed away when I was pretty young as well.
Right.
Your dad, you have fantastic things to say about, and when I've spent time with your siblings, my uncles and aunts, they also talk so highly of your dad. My mom talks so highly of your dad. What is one thing that you see from his parenting in your parenting that you've really tried to incorporate?
My dad never brought work home with him, and he was another one that worked a lot of hours and got a lot of phone calls. He worked for IBM. Mm-hmm. The biggest thing that I get from my dad was my emotional tie with my children. Mm-hmm. So many times you hear about these stoic dads that never really shows emotion.
They don't tell them that
everybody
they
knows,
love them or whatever.
Everybody knows that I'm a sap. And, I watch Hallmark movies all the time. In fact, I just got done. In the
intro, I meant to say, okay, so we're going to rewind. We're going to redo the intro. So this is my dad. Some of his hobbies include golf. Also, he plays guitar. He's a musician in general. He plays guitar. He plays mandolin. He sings. Even more than playing actual guitar, he likes to play Guitar Hero.
Which is a total lie. It's a family total lie. Don't anybody believe that.
And he loves to watch Hallmark movies, which is the truth.
Which is the truth. In fact, I just was watching one when you called me in, and I thought, well,
he's watching Winter in Aspen on June 9th.
it's on record, so I can see this.
Oh, also,
even though I've seen it 4 or 5 times.
Also, he still records Hallmark movies and plays them back. So
well, anyway,
that's also something about him. But anyway, so your dad's emotional connection,
right? My dad always talked to me on the phone when I was in the military. If I got homesick or if I was having problems, I'd talk to him, and he was always very even keeled. Mm-hmm. A little bit unlike me. I have emotions that run high and low, but mm-hmm. he always was never afraid to show his emotions and talk to me about how things were, and he'd relate stories to himself. When we got married, he was really emotional, just like he was with all the kids when they got married, and he talked mom down off of a ledge a couple of times when I was mean to her when I was when we were engaged, and during that time. And as far as marriage relationship, the thing that I get from him was that he never allowed anybody to talk bad or talk back to their mother, and he always stuck with her, and he loved my mom so much. And I remember one time I told my mom, I was a teenager, probably 15, 16 years old at that age, when you get brave, and I had an argument with my mother, and I told her to go to hell. And my father, when he got home, it was the typical wait till your dad get home.
Right.
And when my dad got home, I thought, oh, I'm in deep trouble now. And he said to me, he said, by law, I have to provide a house for you, and I have to provide meals for you, and you can sit down with um, at meals with us, and you can eat, and I'll take you where you need to go as far as school goes, but don't talk to me. Don't say anything to me. I'm not going to have any conversations with you. And I went to my room thinking, wow, I got out of that easy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, less than 12 hours later,
You're crying.
I apologized to my mother, and I said to my dad, please talk to me.
Oh, man.
Because Abby always said, if you're riding in the car with dad and you got the radio on or you're talking on your phone, you're missing a great time. Because we always talked, all of us, when we rode in the car, we just talk to each other and joke around, and that's the way it was with my dad. And we always talked about things, and when he said he wouldn't talk to me and have a conversation with me, it just broke my heart. So.
Yeah. If you're planning literally any kind of event, first birthday, graduation, Father's Day brunch, even a divorce party, no judgment, pop that champagne. You need to check out Banners X Tay on Instagram. Taylor, the owner, makes custom banners that look like you hired a full design team. Her attention to detail, impeccable. Her creative vision always hits. Her prices, shockingly reasonable. She'll take your, oh, I just want it to be cute, and turn it into something Pinterest would be jealous of. Do people still use Pinterest? I do. Tell me if I should stop. It's one of those little touches that makes people think you've got it all together. So go DM at BannersXTay. Tell Taylor at Mom's Table sent you, and get ready to party, whatever the reason or the season. What is one thing from your parenting, your journey as a father, that you see in Matt?
Let's see. I think the idea of being at everything with his kids, it was easier for me with him because I had backups and I had a way to do something different. But he owns a business, and it's really hard sometimes for him to jostle all that stuff. But him and Jilly do a great job with it.
And I think Jill does very similar, just like you were talking about, our mom kind of picking up the slack and making sure that it never trickled down to us if you did miss something. Right. I think Jill does that same thing.
Yeah, right. And I'm proud of him for that. That he's so involved with his kids' lives and doesn't want to miss anything, and takes the opportunity to do those kinds of things with her.
Yeah, absolutely. What is one thing that you as a father have tried to do better than your dad?
I guess the idea of going to your kids' stuff. My dad worked with IBM, and it was more difficult.
Was he an engineer?
Yes, he was a service engineer. Oh. And he very rarely made my baseball game.
Gotcha.
And my soccer games, I remember 3 or 4 that he made, and they were all so special because he very rarely made them, because it was harder back then because transportation wasn't as easy, and
couldn't phone in as easy.
Right, that's exactly true, and he couldn't change his schedule so much, and
right,
and IBM required that of him, but I never regret my thought that my dad worked for IBM. IBM at that time, it was prestigious, but the great thing about IBM back in those days, I don't know what it's like now, but it was so
in the comments, IBM employees.
It was so family oriented. I remember they had Christmas parties for the kids and Christmas parties for the adults. And they had picnics in the summer, and they were just one big family. And when my dad died, my brother Gene worked for IBM, and they were so good with him. And when my grandparents died, it was the same with my dad. IBM would just do whatever, and they'd send flowers and do all these things for people who employees that died. And it was just a family, and it was really, really, really a great company to work for.
Yeah.
Got a lot of perks out of it, and
I think through your time working, your Christmas bonuses, mom's as well, have changed throughout the years. I think at one point you got a bunch of seafood every year. We have a Christmas tradition in our house because my dad used to get a Christmas Danish every year.
Yeah.
That we used to get in the mail. And I think that kind of on the same vein, we've all seen companies and organizations really kind of dwindle those.
Oh yeah.
That feeling of like.
I remember when I first started with a
appreciation.
company in Syracuse, we used to get, for a Christmas bonus, we used to get 2 weeks pay.
That's insane.
Insane, yeah. And it went that way for a lot of years. And when I was with, the manufacturers, they had a big company bonus, and then it went down to $500. Then it went down to
even $500.
Then it went to
sizable bonus.
Then it went to seafood, $400 worth of seafood. And then it went to $50 gift certificate to the mall.
Jelly of the month club.
Jelly of the month club. And but yeah, I mean,
and then
it wasn't. I don't know how many people will see this, but it isn't that I am against the companies anymore. Society changed, and
for sure.
And you think about the loyalty back then too. Sure. I mean, people don't change jobs nearly as much as they did, and the company being loyal to them with big Christmas bonuses. Why would you give somebody who just started working there and
2 weeks pay?
2 weeks pay when you're giving employees that have been there for 10 years 2 weeks pay.
For sure.
So now I think the companies work on giving people perks
inside their salary package.
Inside their salary package, asking for a day off, and
for sure.
Where this guy gets a day off, and
that's true too. Like if you think about when
this employee gets a couple of days, and they don't even charge him vacation.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that those are the kinds of things that happen now, just because.
Yeah, for sure. We talked about that too with my mom, because she used to get a sizable Christmas bonus, and same thing. Eventually, the last year that she was working, she got a umbrella.
Yeah, umbrella. Yeah.
That was her yearly.
Yeah, it went down to a turkey, and then it went to an umbrella.
A turkey voucher, and then we ended up with an umbrella. So I don't know how they're doing now. Maybe a pen or something. I completely agree with you and see that kind of lineage of your dad to you to Matt, showing up, being very present. My brother's an insanely present father, and you obviously were as well. Next, how do you feel about the podcast?
I think it's a pretty cool idea. I wasn't nervous. I was just kind of anxious about how it would go, and I watch podcasts online. I don't watch podcasts. I see replays of them, and which I'm going to talk to you about later, about how do I get into doing podcasts, because every podcast says,
Dad wants to start a podcast.
No, I don't want to start a podcast.
How you listen to them?
Yeah, because every advertisement for a podcast says where you listen to your podcast. I said, do you have to sign up for service or something? I don't know.
I don't know where I listen to my podcast. Where should I be listening to my podcast?
Right.
That's so funny. Well, I'll give you the lowdown on how to...
so I've seen them where they have conversations, but it's always famous podcasts with a famous person.
Right.
And I'm going, do they set this whole thing up and give you like a printed thing of what they're going to ask you and how it's going to go and what you should say?
Yeah,
And then,
no, I think that there's so many different podcast styles too. But I think that this is the point of this one, at least, is just to have, conversations like we would have around the table. But that's interesting. I will definitely give you a few options of where you can find your podcast. But yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea because, like you said in the original one, the opening one, that a lot has happened around this table, and
For sure.
because we are together so much, and we always gathered together, and if it wasn't around this table when we're on vacation, we always gathered around the table. We always made the rule that we were always going to eat dinner together, and even when we were with other friends and had big vacations, we always spent time together around the table,
and I can't tell you how many people either commented on the pilot episode. I can't tell you. I act like it's like hundreds. There's lots of people that messaged me or commented on the original YouTube video that says, "Oh, I've been around that table," or "I've sat at that table." And people who I thought about, who I've since talked to, thinking like, "Oh yeah, almost everyone who I have had any type of relationship with, 99% of them have come to the table." Yeah, so it's a really awesome place to be, and I did want to ask you how you feel about the podcast being named At Mom's Table.
Oh, that's all right. That's fine. Mom and Dad's table.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
It gets kind of bulky.
At Mom and Dad's table. Yeah. At my parents' table.
Yeah, right. At Mom's table is great because, she's the one who said it, and she's the one who...
And she's the one who picked this pre-distressed table.
Yeah, and she's the one who talked me into such a long table.
This is true. This is a long table.
Then we ran out of chairs. I said, "Why are we getting 14 chairs?"
That's insane.
Then all of a sudden, 16 people are at the table. We're going...
Also at the time, if you recall, I had not met Travis yet, and I was single. And
oh, that's right.
Mom
I remember that.
called me and said, "Hey, I picked out a dining room table. We got 14 chairs, or how many chairs?"
Yeah, 14.
And we got 14 chairs, just enough for you if you ever find someone to date. So that, and then it's a super long table. You can't see the whole thing. Today, also, a couple more things. Today, Mom asked if we could set up the camera so that you could see her Christmas cactus, because she loves it so much. So peep the Christmas cactus. And I also wanted to kind of give a little insight to the listeners and the viewers that Mom bought a pre-distressed table.
Right.
So there's a bunch of marks in it. However, she gets very upset if any new marks are made.
Right.
So pre-distressed only.
Yeah.
There cannot be any new marks.
It's all right for somebody to put a screw right here and hit it with a hammer.
Yeah.
When it's
When
made.
there's a pencil mark on it,
but don't.
That's where we draw the line.
That's where we draw the line.
Absolutely not.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Can I just say one more thing?
Absolutely.
So, you asked me how I was alike from my dad, but I just got to tell you that my dad was so important to all of us because, like I said, he was pretty level-keeled, and we always called him, when we were growing up, we always called him E.F. Hutton because I don't know if you know what E.F. Hutton is. It's a stockbroker's agency. And their slogan was, when E.F. Hutton speaks, people listen. And we always called my dad E.F. Hutton because when he spoke, everybody listened, because it was going to be really funny or it was going to be really important, because my dad didn't say much. And I a lot of times joke around and say, "I'm just like my dad." And everybody goes, "Oh yeah, I'm just the opposite." I'll say anything.
One thing about me, I'll say anything.
Yeah.
So you listen to one of the things I say.
Yeah.
I can't guarantee what it was.
Yeah.
But
Don't.
That must be what I
don't
get
listen
from you.
Don't listen to everything I say, because
there's bound to be something that's not right.
Yeah. It's not always going to be important. It's not always going to be funny.
But maybe it will be important, and maybe it will be funny.
But
you have to listen to everything just in case.
just in case. With him, you listen to it because it was.
That must be what you passed on to me. Because I'm a big fan of throw everything at the wall and see what sticks.
Oh, yeah.
Something's going to be funny in there.
Yeah, like
I don't know what, but.
like I said in the Facebook post I had for when you graduated, I hope the time delay between your thought and speech increases.
Which it has, I will say. I do think a little bit more before I speak now. It definitely, I definitely struggle to just say whatever comes to my mind, which I have also realized as I become an adult, the things that come to my mind aren't the things that come to everyone else's mind, which is surprising.
Yeah,
I have somewhat of a unique brain.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Oh, thank you.
I do want to wish all the listeners a happy Father's Day.
Yeah.
All fathers, uncles, grandfathers, people who step in as dads. I hope that you had a great Father's Day, because this is going to come out Father's Day at night. And I hope you celebrated with the people who you love. And if you haven't yet, make sure you call your dad if you're still lucky enough to do so. Even if things aren't great right now, life's too short, call your dad, wish him a happy Father's Day, have important conversations. And with that, thank you so much.
Happy Father's Day to Travis's first Father's Day.
Yes, my husband's first Father's Day as a father.
Cool.
Yep. And with that, listeners, also thank you so much for pulling up a seat. That was at Mom's Table.